What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Against.The.Galaxy podcast number 9. We've been busy with some life stuff, moving back to school, getting back to work, but now we're ready to bring you some more content. So we're going to recap our PQs and our Galactic Championship run. But before we do that, make sure follow us on Instagram, check out our Twitter and X, and our Discords are linked as well if you want to get in contact with us about deck lists or anything like that for future videos. So, first event that we need to recap is our Legends of the Force Galactic Championship. Force Throw has been banned since the Galactic Championship, which is a big shakeup to the meta, and we're still trying to figure out where to go from there. But before we do that, let's look back at what Force Throw has been able to do for us personally. So for me, it did a lot for me in the Galactic Championship. I was able to take Hantu Blue to a top 64 finish with a record of 8-3-1. So I had my bye into day 2 and then was able to get some good wins, make it to day 3, and then go 1-1-1 on the last day to make it into the top 64.
Galactic Championship on day 2. I as well had my bye on day 1. I ended up 5-4. Um, a little bit unfortunate. I was hoping to do better. Obviously, I was hoping to day 3, but I ran into quite a few blue-red mirrors and lost, I think, 2 of them. Maybe that record's not even right. Maybe I was 5-3. I think I was 5-3-1. Yeah, because I lost 2 and tied 1 of the blue-red mirrors. I guess I should just try drawing more force throws next time. But no, in all seriousness, it was a fun tournament, but definitely was looking for a better result.
Will is not here. He also had a day 1 bye, played Hantu Blue, pretty much the same list. We all pretty much played exactly the same 60, but he only was able to finish with a 2-6 finish. He ran into some bad matchups, and then once he was out, he kind of just sputtered from there, unfortunately.
Speaking of sputtering out, I had to play in day 1. I was not able to get my bye for day 2, but went 0-3. It was kind of disheartening because we had spent so much time playing Hantu Blue and testing it that when it came to the day, I ran into I think Anakin Force Blue 2 times, and then like I think Spark of Rebellion Luke with green base once, and I got out varianced pretty good. I would say that was the highest amount of variance I've ever seen playing the game. So kind of unfortunate, but you know I learned a lot from those losses. The good thing about losing is that it teaches you what where you can improve, and I learned a lot. So I'm happy to say that I was able to take the lessons I learned from those losses and do the Galactic Open on the next day, and I finished 6-3, which didn't qualify for day 2, but going 6-3 still felt pretty good. It made me feel like I hadn't lost my edge, as I was kind of doubting myself and my ability to play the deck after a pretty disappointing day 1 at Worlds. But 6-3 on the Hantu Blue in the Galactic Open was pretty good. It got me a bunch of prize wall tickets, and I was able to get some good swag from the what seemed like eternity line for the the prize wall. But I'm not totally upset with how the weekend went for Galactics, and I'm really hoping to do better next year.
To get to next year, we've been playing in a couple PQs that we would like to also recap with you guys as well. So the first PQ that Nicky and Nick went to was the Millennium Games Limited PQ. You guys want to talk about how you guys did in those games?
Yeah, for sure. I had a blast this tournament, as the 6-1 record would tell. But I think I opened one of the most broken sealed pools I've seen in a while. I had like my only downfall was I was short a couple 2 drops, but like other than that, I had a Talisman's Assassin and a couple old Dakas and a Grand Inquisitor unit and I pulled a legendary Vader and a Priestesses of the Force. Like, I had like a near perfect Talzin red deck, so I can't really complain. Coasted on that with 6-1 through Swiss. And then in top eight, I had a little bit of a rough go of it in the draft. Um, I was getting blocked on both sides. I was on Talzin, and then on both sides of me was also Talzin. I have thought about the draft quite a bit more, and maybe there was something I could have done about that. I think I probably should have pivoted into, I think it was Cal a little bit earlier, but overall, I was pretty happy with the tournament. First tournament of the year for me, and I already got a fourth of my points. So, not really much I can complain about there.
Yeah, your sealed pool was insane. I remember you coming up to me like a few rounds into the tournament. You're like, "Dude, look at my deck," and I'm like, "This looks like a constructed deck."
Yeah,
It was so
yeah.
insane. Um, I didn't have as much luck with my sealed pool. I think my legendary I opened in my pool was a foil mythosaur, so that was fun. I had opened a Talzin and a Snoke in my pool, but I didn't have any of the right villain cards or enough quantity of villain cards for Snoke, and I didn't get a lot of the early Force units and good synergies to play Talzin. So we went with Ahsoka Red. I had a pretty decent green pool, and I've been thinking about it, ever since the tournament that maybe I should have gone green because I know I had at least had like a Kelleran Beck and an Koth in there, and maybe this would have been a little bit better. But I felt like my curve with the red cards was making the deck function. So I could mill about it, forever. But I made the decisions I made, and like I said with Galactics, learning about what makes you a better sealed player from taking these losses will help you in the future, and the future is right around the corner as we get ready for Philly.
Yeah, a lot of testing. We have a upcoming testing weekend um, for limited. We're gonna do some drafting and some sealed pool stuff with the rest of our testing team. So we'll hopefully put out a better result in the upcoming sector. But a good start. Nicky, 25 points on the board. We're gonna need to keep track of some more of those points. So another PQ I unfortunately wasn't able to attend, but we had a lot of our other teammates there. Nikki and Nick, can you talk us through the Hex & Co. PQ that you guys played in the city with Will and Eric?
Yeah, so this was a fun PQ. I had not been to Hex and Co, or I don't think any of us had been to Hex and Co in the last PQ they did or whatever. But I had a fun time. This I played Sabine ECL. I had talked to Nikki and Mike about it, and we decided it was probably best for me to put down Han because I was having some trouble really understanding the deck at locals. So we figured let's put myself on something that I'm a little bit more familiar with, being Sabine ECL. Didn't really go my way. There were some matchups that we got into that were new to me. Like, I think I played against the Gar-Saxon ECL, and I played against set 4 Thrawn Yellow. I think those decks that are not like usually you see in the meta threw me for a loop, and I kind of was trying to figure out how to beat those decks and solve them on the fly. Which I think was, I did the best I could, but we didn't get a result that we were really hoping for, which was unfortunate. But at least Nikki and Will and Eric had a little bit better day. Still not making top 8 for that, unfortunately. But Nikki, do you wanna walk us through your day there?
Yeah. So I played Kylo 5 Data Vault. I thought it was pretty well positioned going into the weekend. Um, because I thought there was still going to be a lot of mid range. But I ended up 4-2-1, just a little bit shy of top 8. Both my losses and my draw were all to Yoda Red, which is a known bad matchup. So, I mean, I kind of just got varianced out, in my opinion. I started out the tournament 4-0-1. I think I picked up my draw in round 2 or 3. and then I had back-to-back win-ins and lost in both. Like I said, to Yoda Red. So that's a bit of a beating, but you just kind of have to shake those off sometimes because variance is going to get you. Um, so yeah, I guess that was most of my day. I know Will had a similar start where I think he even started 4-0 or maybe he was 4-1, but um, unfortunately he dropped back-to-back win-ins as well. And then um, Eric was kind of fighting in the middle of the tables all day, but I remember him saying he was pretty happy with the result and um, learned a lot from his losses, like you'd already mentioned. So, as a whole, not a great day for the team, but you know, far from the worst possible outcome.
Moving on, a little bit better of a weekend for us. So the following weekend there was a Just Games Rochester PQ, which Nicky attended, and then I played a PQ at Top Deck Games down here in New Jersey. I go to school at Stony Brook, so it was a travel down for me, and they were still upstate, so I travel over for them. Um, so we kind of flew it solo, but picked up some big points for the team, which was good. So I'll go through my kind of day first down here. So I played Hantu Blue again. I hadn't played a ton, as you probably had seen from not attending those other two events. So just getting back into the swing of things with something familiar was the plan. I ran it back with pretty much the exact same list that I had ran, if not the exact same 60 cards in Galactics. So they went well. I saw what I thought I was going to see. A lot of stuff I was still prepped for, my Galactics prep. Um, I ran into a Kylo Tarkentown, which was my one loss. Um, and known bad matchup, not something I felt like I could really do much about. I was interested in testing Secret of Sage after this weekend to make it a little bit better, but I don't think there's really much you can really do to get through that deck as Hantu Blue. But didn't see it in top 8, which was nice. I played against a Sabine in top 8, which was pretty much a cakewalk with our build of the deck, which was nice. And Hantu Blue typically has a good matchup as well, so I was not under any major pressure throughout that game. And then I played on stream in the top 4 on my loss, unfortunately. I played against a Iden Data Vault and just didn't get the aggressive starts that I really needed, but a good day overall. 25 points, first turn of back since Galactics. Couldn't really ask for much more than that.
Sweet, yeah. Um, I also top 4 this weekend, but like Mike said, at a different PQ. Mine was, a little easier. There was only, I think, 34 players there, so it didn't go as long because there was only 6 rounds. But I ended up playing Kazuto Red with the 30 HP base. Funny story about that was the week leading up to it. I was trying to get a good read on the meta, and I was just kind of losing my mind because everything felt so 50-50 rock, paper, scissorsy, and I thought we were going to be moving away from a mid-range meta, and the control was going to get um, a little higher, and then the aggro was going to stay there. So I was mostly looking at a meta without a middle, and I thought in that type of meta that I wanted to play the most aggressive deck possible. So I went and played, pilot aggro, and I'm not sure I really had the correct meta read on the room, but I was able to sneak by with Kazuta. I started 3-0, then lost back-to-back win-ins again, and was about ready to pull my hair out because um, combined with Hex and Co, that's 4 win-ins that I lost in a row. But because it was a 34-player tournament, I was lucky and was able to win my last round and sneak in at a 4-2 record. Just narrowly snuck by in top 8 against a Boba Data Vault. All 3 games were super tight, and he had me super high on damage. Like, definitely the 30 HP base saved me in those games. And then I just got steamrolled by a Hantu Blue in top 4. The matchup itself isn't terrible, but both games he started Grogu into Red 5, and that start I just can't do anything about. So unfortunate to lose in top four to some decent draws, but still happy to be there, especially since I was playing Kazuda.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Have you played Kazuna Sitsus then at all?
No, I sleeved it up and took it to Atlanta with me in case I wanted to play an F&M a couple weeks ago, but didn't actually get out.
Nice. Alrighty. So, Nikki, that puts you at 50 points, right?
Yep,
Myself
that
at
put
25.
points. Halfway there.
So, the following weekend, I believe, was the Red Seal Gaming PQ in Jersey, and we definitely got sealed with an L. Not a very good week for the boys. Um, I had the roughest go of it, um, trying to parlay my good weekend into another good weekend, and I probably shouldn't have won. I was not really in the right place to go, but showed up, lost a mirror, which is frustrating because it's always frustrating to lose a mirror to variance draws, and then lost to a Han 2 green, which again was a good matchup for me playing Han 2 blue, but just got the wrong half of my deck at the wrong time. So I was just like, things happen, and I was able to enjoy the rest of my weekend, which was kind of nice. But would have liked to play a little bit more Star Wars and get some more points. Um, Eric's day could have gone a lot better than 3-2. Maybe I'll get some flack for saying this, but I think he punted away both of the games that he lost. And
Mm-hmm.
if he tightened it up a little bit, he could have had a nice 5-0 day and walked into a top 8 finish. But some of the games that we unfortunately watched, he made critical mistakes at critical moments, and that's not going to push you over the edge, unfortunately. So he also has been playing intermittently, and I think that as he continues to get into it, and now it's a whole new meta shakeup, so we have a lot more stuff to go over and learn, but Eric can definitely make a big push if he gets to it a little bit more consistently.
Yeah, for sure. I also ended 3-2. Eric and I both lost round 5 and just decided to drop and see if we could rescue our night. I think we ended up leaving and getting home by like 7, so it was probably the right decision. Even if we won out, we looked afterwards and no 5-2s made it. I mean, I think we could have made top 16 for like $40 worth of credit or something, but we decided it wasn't worth it, so we just started to head home. In the last round that I played, so what gave me my second loss, I played against Josh Everly on Team Secret, and he was playing Kylo Tarkentown. And it was funny, we were talking before the game, and he said that that was the deck that he lost to in the top 8 of Worlds. And he decided that he didn't want to lose to that deck again, so he just started playing it and realized how strong it was. And uh, after he beat me, he kind of gave me that moment too, where I was like, well, this deck's just like dumb. Like the things it does are so powerful. So as we'll see on the next couple slides, he was, one of the driving factors on what pushed me onto the deck, and we'll see. I had some pretty good results. So just wanted to give a little shout out to that.
So 2 week break. We were back at it again in Connecticut for the Tabletop Gaming Center PQ. This was my second time going there. My first ever PQ was actually at Tabletop. Um, and I had a horrible Bosk finish, but we don't need to recap that. We have a lot of stuff to get through today. But 4 of us were there: Nikki, Nick, myself, and Will. As you can see from our last Kylo Tarkentown talk, that influenced enough of us to have half of our team on that deck and the other half on Sabine, as we tend to do. So, um, we can start bottom up. Will had a rough day. He started well and then just kind of sputtered again. Sabine in a tougher spot, really needs to hit the right matchups, and again, he wasn't in a meta that was too good for him, especially because this was the weekend before the announcement that they made on Monday, so people were anticipating it, 4-star getting banned on Monday. So a lot of people kind of were bringing out their 4-star decks as it was. So Sabine was kind of 50-50 to play into that kind of meta. If you hit the 4-star decks that were good into you, you were not going to have a good time that weekend.
His losses weren't even against 4-star decks. Pretty sure he said he lost to Vader, Pilot Vader twice.
Oh, yeah, that is right. Which,
Another unfun matchup. Not
yeah,
necessarily bad, but
yeah.
not a fun one to play.
Invader is kind of good into 4-star decks. Maybe. I don't know. I love playing Hantu Blue against Vader. I'll play that matchup all day, every day.
Yeah, I don't think
I
that deck was well positioned, which was even more tilting for Will that people were playing it when it wasn't well positioned, and then he still ran into it. I mean, I guess one of them top 8 at this tournament, but
Yeah,
still.
fair enough. I split against it. I played it in my first round and got very unlucky in my game 3, which was unfortunate, and was 1 damage short in my game 1 of winning. So speaking of Vader, that kind of set me on the wrong path for the day. And then I kind of again didn't have my best finish throughout the day, which was kind of frustrating. So um, ended up 4-3, but on a new deck, positive record, which is nice, and hopefully can kind of parlay that positive direction into the next weekend if Forthrow is still around, which it was. So we'll get to that later, but we'll let Nick talk to us about his Sabine ECL day.
Yeah, I had a pretty good day on Sabine ECL, and I lost in round one to the gentleman in this picture in the Dodana's disciple. His name escapes me.
Nick Franca.
But yes, and I lost to him in round one. He was on Hantu Blue, and then I managed to submarine my way all the way to finishing first in Swiss, which was pretty insane because I didn't know I had that in me. We it was a mixed bag of matchups I had that day. We definitely got into some matchups that we liked. I faced a Quinlan Tarkatown twice. I played against Emperor Palpatine Colossus twice, and a Kylo 5 ECL. Um, the one matchup I thought I was cooked was against Cad Bane Tarkatown. It was the more traditional build of Cad Bane, not the one drop build that we saw Bobby pilot to win here, Bobby Sapphire. Um, yeah, we just ran the table and it was awesome. It felt really good. The weekend before this, I had a store showdown at locals that I played Emperor Palpatine Yellow, and I got my butt handed to me by some control decks, and it was really disheartening. And I texted the guys and was like, I'm really just like not enjoying the game. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. All that you know self doubt that gets into your head when you don't put up results. But this was a really good confidence boost for me. So like I said, we ran the table. We went 6-1, and then I played against Yoda Red in top 8, and I think it was game 1. I got double force thrown on turn like 2 or 3, so like all my units were wiped, and then it was just I flipped Sabine into like a Chirrut, and then I think in game 2 there was an Addy Gallia with an entrenched on it, and tried to get things going up in space, and with a Chewbacca pilot, and I think I got uh, Fang Fightered. So any possible thing that could go wrong went wrong in that game or in the match. So it was totally fine. I didn't expect anything less than my opponent to have perfect draws, which is it happens. Variance in this game is a real thing. Um, but I wasn't upset at all. I had a great day, and I got 15 points towards qualifying for Worlds, so I couldn't have been happier with how I did. But still hungry, right, for the better finish. But maybe we'll get a sneak peek at what happened next week.
Yeah, and then that leaves up to me. I ended up playing Kylo 5 Tarkentown, like I kind of hinted at, and I ended up 502 in Swiss. Didn't drop a single game. Turns out when you just draw MIGs or Force Throw plus Witch, You're gonna have a really, really good day, and that's just about all I did. So that was great. Kind of coasted my way through Swiss, and then in top eight, I played against Pasquale on Yoda Red. And I didn't mention it, but he was one of my win and ins that I lost to in Hex and Co. So coming into the match, I was definitely hoping to beat him to get to get some payback, but that didn't end up happening. He handed me my first and second loss of the day, so that was unfortunate. But maybe there was a little bit of a high roll that happened in game two that might have cost me the game, but who knows? Um, not upset with the finish. Happy with the 15 points. Obviously, wished I could have made it to at least top four. Because 15 points doesn't often mean a lot when you're trying to break your 100 points into like denominations of 25, because that's usually how it's broken out. The only way to earn non denominations of 25 is top 8 at a PQ and then finalist at a PQ. So I came out of this weekend 15 points ahead of where I was, but still hungry for more points since I didn't feel like those 15 points did a lot for me.
And that takes us to our final PQ as of now, the Rogue State Gaming PQ, which went very well for the team. We had 3 out of the 4 players on our podcasting team make it into the top 8. Nicky was able to take down the entire PQ, getting a PQ win for the 3rd season, and a ton of fun. A ton of fun watching him do well, a ton of fun myself doing well, and Nick doing well, and Will having a good day. Unfortunately, I had to shoot some of my teammates in the head, and it was a rough day. But we can go bottom up again. Will had a great day. He was 4-0 when we played, or no, just 3-0. Then we played on stream, which was pretty cool. That was my second time on stream since the PQ that I had done well at down in Philly. And I played horrible in game one. I should have won. I should have pillaged him in a critical moment, and I didn't. And that cost me the first game. However, I was able to come back in games 2 and 3 and get the win. And that unfortunately sent Will on a downward path of stringing a couple losses together. So I sent him down, which I had felt bad about. The following round, Nicky and I got paired, so we were both 4-0. We decided that it was best for us to draw that round. We wanted to give ourselves both an opportunity to get in, and drawing does that by allowing us to have win and ins in both of our next 2 rounds. So I was confident in him, he was confident in me. We decided to draw, and my next round was against another one of our teammates, Derek, who's on our testing team, and unfortunately I knocked him out to get my win and in and secure my top 8. So a unfortunate day for me to go runner into teammates and friends of mine, but gotta do what you gotta do. So it took me into top 8, and then I played against Sabine Nabat Village, which I thought was a great matchup for me, but I got absolutely smoked. I played on stream. Please delete that stream footage that's out there. Don't look at it. It's a part of my body grew 3 sizes that day, and it was not my heart. So it was a tough match, tough couple minutes. But at least it was Sabine. It was over with. But it, another 15 points takes me up to 40 for my total, which I am 50-50 about. As Nikki said, it doesn't really do too much unless I get semifinals, or yeah, semifinals at a PQ. But just hoping to push through and get a win at one of these, or do well at the upcoming sector in Philly to get the point push over that 100 benchmark. Nick, you want to take us through your Sabine games?
Yeah, once again, 6-1. Had to kind of clinch it through some pretty good matches. I felt that this run with Sabine was a little bit more stressful. Um, the ones at tabletop, I had a lot of 2-0s where it was just two games and we're done, kind of uh, done smoking them out here. But this that Rogue State, a lot of 2-1 wins. Um, we played against that Gar-Saxon ECL deck twice back to back, and I won those games 2-1 each. Those were really close games. Um, I lost in round two to Kazuda Yellow, which, aggro v aggro can just kind of comes down to a top deck. My opponent had the Fast Falcon, so he got me. But that happens. And we made a run up to top eight, and spoiler alert, we stopped at top eight. We unfortunately didn't get past top eight to top four or beyond. I ran into Cad Bane Tarkentown. My man RT Chomp was playing the similar to the list that Bobby had played the previous weekend. Um, it's a pretty hard deck to play against when you're Sabine. The normal Cad Bane Tarkentown deck, I already have a pretty tough tough time into. But this one is so low to the ground that they can kind of overwhelm you with their one drops. So if I had teched for it a little bit more on the sideboard, maybe the games could have gone a little bit different. I know that Nicky and Mike were playing grenade strikes in their sideboard, and maybe I could have teched for the grenade strikes more, but I decided to tech against Vader Yellow because I knew in our testing that some of them started to play outmaneuver in the main board, and that just completely hoses Sabine. It's a huge tempo swing, so I didn't really want to lose to that. Um, but just like the previous weekend, had a good run, had a lot of fun playing the deck. Gave me even more confidence in myself. Going back to back top eights was pretty sweet, and I'm excited to do it some more and maybe even get past top eight next season.
Yeah, don't forget though, your final round of Swiss too was on stream, and those matches were crazy good.
Oh yeah, that's right. I played round 6 and 7 on stream.
6-7.
Oh
One against
right, yeah.
Obi-Wan from Twilight ECL, who I had a nice chat with the gentleman who played the deck, and he was like, I brought Obi-Wan ECL to beat all these force throw decks, and here I am playing Sabine for like a win and then I'm like, I'm so sorry. Um, he had some pretty sweet plays. ECL, Anakin Skywalker unit from Legends of the Force is very, very strong. Um, and then in round 7, we played against Kira ECL. I like the Kira ECL matchup definitely more than I like the Data Vault matchup just because there's less health you have to chew through. But they did have to worry more about ECL, the Darth Vader unit from Legends of the Force. That one was a little backbreaking. I did lose a game to that, but other than that, you know, Sabine did her thing, and we reaped the benefits.
Yeah, that game three of your winning in was crazy. It looked like that was all but over. That like your opponent had you locked out, and then you ripped Fleet Lieutenant off the top to be able to Fleet Lieutenant and just push that last two damage. It was sweet.
Yeah,
Mike and I
it
were
was.
sitting in the car watching the stream, and we just like both like looked at each other like, "Is that a Fleet Lieutenant? Oh my god, he just drew Fleet Lieutenant!"
Oh my
And like
god!
you jammed it, and we just started losing our minds. It was great.
I think it was that play, and I think against Obi-Wan in our game one, I had maybe one or two units in play, but I just needed to push some damage, and we go to the regroup, and I draw the top two cards of my deck, and it's four cause, four cause. It's like, I'm so sorry, you're about to die. It was
Do you
pretty
have any
sweet.
last words?
Have any last words? Because I do.
But yeah, I guess that moves on to me. I had quite the good day. Another 502 record in Swiss. Um, This time it wasn't undefeated. We had some quite tight games, but we were able to get there. Won my winning in against Sabine ECL, which is always a super tight matchup. Game 3, I suited up a Secretive Sage with a constructed lightsaber, fallen lightsaber, and I believe a hot shot blaster, and just kept attacking base. And luckily, it was enough. So that was a crazy game to make it to top 8. But in top 8, I got blessed with a Hantu Blue, basically a free matchup, um, as Kylo was kind of designed to beat that deck. I ended up winning that one 2-1. Game 2, I stumbled a little bit and got destroyed by a Crate Dragon, but was able to take that one. In the top 4, I moved on to play against RT Chomp and to try to get some revenge for Nick. It was funny when we were looking at deck lists. He's looking at my sideboard and he goes, "Oh no, this is about to get a lot worse." Because I had 3 grenade strikes in the sideboard. Mike and I and Derek were all talking about it throughout the week. Like, should we just play the 3rd grenade strike since we're gonna see an uptick in CAD, and then like there's still gonna be random Vader pilots, and we decided that we thought it was a good call, and clearly it was because it easily won me my top 4 match. I thought I stabilized pretty well in game 1, and then like a random criminal muscle to bounce one of my upgrades after I flipped um, kind of blew me out. But game 2, I was able to bluff my opponent into playing 2 1-drops on turn 1 and then grenade striked him. And the game got a lot easier from there. And then game 3, I actually missed my turn 1 play, and then on turn 2 drew grenade strike, and again that caught me back up, in combination with pillage, because they play 1-drop. Pillage does a really good job of cleaning out their hand and sending them into top deck mode. So a lot of good 2-for-1s in that matchup, and I was able to just sneak by, but those games were scary. Then going into the finals, I knew I was guaranteed at least 35 points and locked my invite, so a lot of pressure was off, and I was just playing for fun. Obviously, I wanted to win because 100 points is nice, especially if I wanted to take any kind of shot at top 32. But I also have a love for those champion mats and wanted to continue collecting, so there was still some pressure. I got paired into Kira Data Vault, and those games were tight. Game 1, I believe, yeah, game 1 I lost, and that was a really tight game. I was put into a spot where I had to flip my Kylo and just like flipped him an attack for like 15 or something, and put my opponent in top deck mode, and he ripped an OB to kill my Kylo, which sealed me out of the game. So, that was a little tilting, but I was like, whatever. Like, I think he had probably 10-ish outs to kill my Kylo. But moving into games 2 and 3, I kind of followed pretty similar play patterns to game 1, but it was really just force throws and pillages to make sure my opponent didn't have many options and put him into top deck mode. Flip my Kylo when he tapped out or used all of his cards. Jammed for a large number. Played as many things as I could to play around like power and a few other removal. Like I made sure my Kylos were big enough to not die to mauls and stuff like that. But both games just pillage, force throw them out, flip that Kylo, and jam you up. So those were some good wins. Felt good to get over the hump for the first time in the season, and I guess I don't have to worry about that denomination of 15 points because got all the way up to 165 points.
We should also shout you out that you're currently 8th on the
Yeah,
leaderboard, I want to say.
yeah. As of the last leaderboard update after this Rogue State tournament, I'm in 8th. Yep.
So,
Pretty exciting. Yeah, hoping to keep this momentum running.
yeah, that's awesome. Um, So if you weren't adding with us, we were definitely adding ourselves. Nicky, like he said, is 165, qualified 8th place right now on the leaderboard. So great showing for him personally and for the team. He's doing a great job for us. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm trailing him in 2nd place with 40 points, looking to add to that total. I'm trying to qualify as soon as possible because I don't want to have to worry about it anymore. It's stressful. Nick, after taking some early losses, has fought his way up to 30 points, which I'm very proud of him for. He was definitely going through it a little bit with us, and to come back and play really great games on stream in environments and matchups that he was not thriving in earlier in the season, to take those losses and do a great job and get his 30 points was awesome to see. So really happy for him. Will and Eric trailing the pack at 0, but more consistent play from them, and they're going to be right with us. And Will is known for his sector finishes, so I have high hopes for Philly in 2 weeks. So Philly is the weekend of October 11th is that Saturday. So Nikki, myself, Will, Nick, we're all going to be down in the Philly sector playing some limited. I have mixed thoughts, but I will let you guys start off. How are you guys feeling about limited in general and playing now? Not a limited PQ, but a limited sector.
I enjoyed limited as a format, but I'm pretty low on this limited format. Um, we talked about it in length a couple months ago when we dropped a podcast, I believe, unless, yeah, no, I think it was a couple months ago. It was podcast 7, I believe. Um, it isn't my favorite environment just because of the force versus non-force. Um, all of your early drops need to be forced if you're playing the force deck, or at least you want them to be. So not only are you trying to pair or to try to pull the correct leaders, but then you're needing to pull the correct support for those leaders. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of get screwed over in your sealed pools and even cut in draft. Um, I much preferred a format like JTL where it was just a bunch of pilots and a bunch of ships, and you didn't really have to have a crazy good pool or get super lucky. You were going to pull some ships and you were going to stick some pilots on them, and that's what you were doing. But this one's a bit more complex. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. But I think for this one, it's a bad thing since the complexity comes in, you know, pulling your pool and not building the decks.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the like limited environment is like solved for Legends of the Force, but it's like if you pull the Talzin and you pull a Snoke on the villain side, and then on the hero side, if you pull Obi-Wan, you're looking and you get those cards to build around them, then it's like why choose any other leader? Um, Whereas in JTL, I think we played the one pre-release we played for JTL. I had Rio Durant as my leader, and that was like totally fine, right? And I would think like finished 3-1, and you wouldn't think Rio Durant is like great, but for a limited environment he did what he had to do. With this, it's like I mean, I saw some people at Rochester playing like Cal Kestis, and maybe I think I saw some like Third Sisters as well, but the majority of decks I would say would be between like I could look left and right and see Snokes and Talzins as far as the eye could see, right? So I think there will be a lot of variance at this sector, uh, depending on who opens what pools, right, and who opens what leaders. Um, I could also see this maybe being a bit of a logistical nightmare with filling out the deck lists, right? Handing your sealed pool over to the person across from you, and them filling it out or whatever. So it could take a while, and I hope that they've got it down, right? You always hope think positive and hope that they got it. But you have to be prepared to have the whole deck construction part take a while, and that can kind of get sometimes when you're waiting right for everybody to finish, kind of gets you out of the zone, and then you gotta get right back into the zone because you're about to play and deck build, and it could be tough. And I'm anxious to see what will become of limited in general after this.
Yeah, I think you made a ton of great points. I think the flow of the event really needs to be there. It's not a PQ, it's a sector, so you are seeing a huge increase in the number of players. So for it to flow incorrectly would be a huge detriment, especially because it's not constructed. It is um, limited. I again will reiterate that the pools of cards can definitely be frustrating, especially if you pull good villain cards but not good villain leaders. I think it adds a whole nother layer that some other TCGs don't have in terms of their limited format. You can kind of just get good cards and then change your deck to play those cards, where the penalty playing off aspect cards is a real penalty. Some cards are worth it, but other cards are not even close to the rate you want when paying those 2 extra resources. So we're just hoping to get some good pools, and then we're still gonna have to play well. It's not like we are looking for a good pool to carry us all the way there. Um, but a good pool is a good start, and that's what you need. So I think the draft will be a lot more skill based. I think drafting is very difficult in Star Wars because of the aspect part of it and your leaders being revealed and knowing what the players to the left and right of you can potentially be in. But I think it'll be a big adjustment for a lot of players from the constructive competitive side and seeing who can also play on the limited side of things. I think it'll be interesting to see some new faces at some of the top tables because of how much variance there can be at a limited event. So I think we might find ourselves introduced to some new faces, which will be nice for the Swoop community. Alrighty, well, that has been our long recap of the past couple weeks, our PQ season, our galactic finish, and our upcoming events. As always, do the YouTube stuff, like, comment, share, subscribe. We're going to put out some more content as we keep going throughout the seasons as our time frees up a little bit more, that we're in the swing of things. So be on the lookout for more videos and content coming your way um, in some different forms as well. So thank you guys for listening. This has been the Against the Galaxy podcast. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.